Hello everyone, welcome back to Trek A Day. Today we have a look at yet another one of these many Star Trek TNG companion books. This is a much more recent one from 2017, All Good Things, a Next Generation Companion. And this is actually a very good, comprehensive look back at all of TNG with some information about every episode of the series, as well as an editor's best and worst list and tag for each one, and a look at some behind the scenes stuff. To me, it feels like something that is either a really good walk down memory lane for someone who's maybe getting back into Star Trek after a long time and has not really one of those people who is constantly going back and watching reruns, and maybe they watched TNG in the 80s and 90s and hasn't really since then. It's a kind of a fun way of catching back up, or something that is good for someone who's maybe getting into Star Trek for the first time with some of the newer stuff, and you could see that also being part of the audience, targeting people who maybe have not seen TNG and are grabbing a book like this to kind of catch up on all the references and the basic details of what happened on that show, and the movies, of course. And part of what I like, because obviously as someone who has, I don't know, something like 10 or 12 different TNG reference books, none of the information is really anything new, but a lot of it is the layout and the visual presentation is very different from many other ones, and a lot of the little just kind of simplistic looks at all the episodes, a great way to just kind of flip through, and there are some good visual things, and this is a good section here about Majel Barrett explaining her legacy with the show, all of Star Trek. So it's just kind of a fun little reference guide and remembrance. And the one thing that is a little more unique to something like this, because it is newer, is getting into the restoration process with the Okudas, looking at some of the remastering of TNG for the Blu-ray release. So getting a little bit of that, that's something that's a little more interesting, something that's not in a lot of other companions just because of the date of a lot of the other ones predating this existence. So that's a fun thing at the end here to look at, and probably the main reason why I ended up picking it up. Just randomly found this recently for a few bucks, I think like $2 or $3. I was like, hey, I don't have that one, and it's a little different. Look at some of the movies. And again, some of the artwork and presentation is some kind of like pop art look to some of them, just a little different, a little more almost magazine feeling to the layout compared to a lot of the other companion books. So overall, it's just a fun look back, a kind of simplistic overall coverage of the TNG, and it's just great to see a slightly different presentation of looking back at one of the greatest TV shows of all time.